I'm going to show you how to make a clock, just like this awesome Green Bay cheese clock. So first thing you want to do is go into Inventor, and we're going to do a new drawing file, so create that, and then right click and delete the border and that little ANSI thing there. Next, we have to make the size of the sheet the same size as our piece of wood. So we're going to right click that, hit edit sheet like I did, and then choose custom size inches. And now we need to edit the size of the wood. So we have some pieces of wood that are pre-cut, and they're cut to dimensions of 12 inches high by 24 inches wide. So go 12 by 24 and hit OK. So that's the size that I'm going to start with. And now let's go ahead and sketch this. We're going to sketch this as a template circle to begin with. Circle clocks are boring, as you can see by cheese. So you can do lots of different sizes and shapes clocks, but I need to have a template to start. So I click on circle, I click once, and I just move my mouse out a little bit without having my finger clicked. And I'm going to type 8 and hit enter. So I have an 8-inch circle template. So make sure you do that first. And then we're going to make a 0.25-inch center. And that's where we're going to cut out the hole to put the clock stuff through. The last part that we need in our template, and this is just to get it ready so that we can make our crazy clock here, is I'm going to draw a line from the center because I need to know how far each increment for the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 goes. So I'm going to click that, and then I want to do circular, and I'm going to select this line, and I choose here, and I go around this circle. And now is when you get to start making some decisions. If I want to only put every other number on, then that's really all I need. I'm going to do it 12 times though, and I'm going to hit OK. So now I know where to place my numbers so that when the clock actually gets to that spot, it's telling accurate time. You can just drag the text file numbers that you create in here, but if you don't know where to put them, it's not going to be a really accurate clock, which is ultimately the goal here. Unless you want to put a whole bunch of numbers in a corner and make like the who cares clock. And if you do that, who cares? All right, so I'm going to finish the sketch, and I'm going to do some cool thing now. I'm going to make a bunch of lines. So everything inside this circle here is sort of where I need to put my numbers. So I'm just going to make this really funky looking kind of squarish type clock. And once I have that there, then I need to put in the numbers. So I'm going to click text. And don't worry about this circle and all these other lines. We're going to delete those later on. But I'm going to click text, and I'm going to click and drag here for where my 12 is. And I'm going to type 12. But I want my size to be 1 inch. You got to make sure you select this and highlight it to make the size changes. So if I change that to 1 inch, and then I'm going to change the font. There's lots of different fonts. I'm going to choose that one. So there's my font. That looks pretty cool. I'm going to finish that. So now if I double click this, it kind of opens that sketch up again. You got to make sure you have these little green dots. Then if I do Control C and then Control V, it will paste that in there. And Control C, Control V, you can see it didn't work that first time, so it should work. Just click on it once, Control C, Control V, you should be able to get a copy and paste. So I'm going to go around and do all those. Now that I have them all in, I want to show you a couple things. You probably noticed along the way that you can line these up. So if I click on this one, you can see that there's dotted lines up here. I can line it up with the 1, 2, with the 2 over on the side, and with the 6, 7, with the 8 down below. So it kind of snaps into the same place that those are. The next thing I'm going to do is edit these and make them the actual numbers. You may want to do that before you line them up, so it doesn't really matter the order. So go through and edit the numbers. I now have my numbers in, and as you can see, it kind of, I don't really like that placement anymore. So then you can go through and adjust. But again, you see this line should be pointing right at the 7 when we're at the 7. Otherwise, you're not really going to have an accurate time on your clock. It's going to be kind of hard to read what time it really is. So now I have everything lined up. I'm going to do a new sketch. So I'm going to finish this one because I want my numbers in their own sketch. And now I'm going to do rectangle. I'm going to draw a few extra kind of rectangles. So we'll finish that sketch. So now we have those lines. And the last thing I want to show you how to do is place an image. So I'm going to go to Manage, Insert Object. So if you've downloaded an image from online that you want to put in there, this is how you get to it. So we do Create from File, Browse, and you got to find it. And I put mine just on the desktop and hit Open, and then OK. So there it is. And if you hit the this little corner, sometimes Doesn't quite grab it, but you should be able to resize this to a size that you want. There we go. So remember though that the center of this is going to be cut out. So I'm going to have it cut out right on his nose right there. You cannot really use the arrow keys to move it around. You just got to click and drag. Okay. I want to make a quick mention though that this is a terrible option for a picture because the darkness values between Dr. Evil's head and the shaded gray background are going to make it very difficult for the laser engraver to engrave this. You really want to find images that are solid black or solid white, black and white two-tone images. This Green Bay one, the reason this turned out so well is that the G is completely white. This is very dark green, and then there's kind of a border here that was yellow. So there was only really 3 colors, and that gave me a really good definition. So just keep that in mind. While it's fun to try to think of the idea of putting in images like this, unless they're really defined and you have very dark darks and very light lights, it's not likely going to show up the way that you want it to. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your image. And so I'm just going to put it there, and all of these rectangles, if I open up this by double clicking it, this little rectangle block here is going to be cutting out some of my picture. In this case, because of my picture, what it is, I don't really care, that's fine. But you may want to put your picture in there first before you do any cutouts, just to make sure you don't cut that out. If you don't want to do a picture, don't do a picture. I'm just kind of showing you how to do each individual piece. So the last thing we want to do is we're going to go back and we're going to delete some of our template. So if I'll finish my sketch there for Dr. Evil, and that actually is not a sketch, it's just placing an object. I'm going to open up sketch 1 again, just double click it to open it, and on this set here, I'm just going to click on this vertical line, and I'm going to right click and delete the pattern. And then I'm going to hit the delete key, and that gets, whoops, it looks like I missed it. That gets rid of everything. I also want to delete this circle. So now all of those template lines are gone, and now you just have this funky looking clock. So I'll do finish sketch. Now before you laser cut this, we have to make sure that all these lines have a line weight thickness that allows it to cut, and the numbers have a line weight thickness that allows it to engrave. So I'll show you how to do that. So we have to first cut the circle. So I'm going to right click sketch 1, go to properties, and change this to a 0.001. That means it will cut it in the laser cutter. Sketch 2 looks like it was our border, so let me do the properties there and change that. Sketch 3 was the numbers, so we want to leave them as is, and sketch 4 was all those boxes, so we're going to go to properties and change those too. So that's it. Now you can head over into the laser cutter and you can cut this thing out.